I thought it was me. I thought you were trying to tell me that my mindset is fixed. Okay.
Cake in the car.
Is it going to melt?
Yes, unless you get it to the kitchen.
Who is that? This
I
man.
think yes, the mother is the one celebrating.
Hi, good morning. Okay. Oh, okay.
So yes, so she got a cake today. She just wanted to share it with everybody.
Is it going to melt in the car?
The cake you cannot gamble because in the car it will be hot. So I don't know if since you are the organizers, maybe you can get the kitchen.
let
to
me
keep
let me
it,
get you someone to help me, Charlie, so that I can put it in this. That or something.
This is the right bill of material we are going to use. Don't forget that at the design stage, there will be some twists and turns, some addition, some subtraction, for us to conclude that this very one will work for us to commercialize it. And when we have agreed, that is when we then move on to commercialization. And that comes in the MBOM, or the manufacturing bill of material, which we are going to use for producing to sell. We are trying to compare the two. So EBOM more or less is for engineering, design, whereas MBOM is transition from final product to enable you produce and sell. The other comparison is that the EBOM is organized by engineers based on computer-aided design and electronic design, which at the end of the day will enable you establish what you should use to produce for EBOM, MBOM. Then MBOM, it derives manufacturing operations, purchasing and logistics for a product. So at the engineering stage, we are not going to buy a larger quantity of raw material and packaging. We need just a smaller quantity to test and confirm ourselves. And then when we are certified, we can now buy in bulk quantity for production. EBOM provides components and direction to make a given product. But when it is manufacturing, or MBOM, that is how and where a part will be made, and then the purchasing of the component and processing of the parts. Engineering bill of material will focus on the parts as they exist in the design stage. But the manufacturing bill of material will determine what steps happen on the assembling floor or the production floor. So these are basically the distinction between the manufacturing bill of material and the engineering bill of material. We were trying to look at a car manufacturing company. I think the picture is not too clear. A car manufacturing company, what are the things they will need? The parts that they will have to put together. So the chassis number, they will need the body, they will need the engine, then the interior decor, and so on and so forth. These are the things they will have to put together. The electrical part will have to come in, and then the computerization of the car will also come. Let's look at some summaries. We are saying that BOM, or bill of material, give business activities like parts sourcing. So you know that these are the things I will need. And so if I don't have it in stock, am I going to buy, or where do I even get it? The next thing is that BOM record may go through several iterations. So if to use. Then getting information about the right parts and the right quantities ensure better purchasing decision. So you may have so many suppliers. Which of them are you going to buy from? Not forgetting quality, but also getting the one which is at a cheaper cost. Then early decision can help regulate with multiple vendors. So if I have different people that I'm buying from, then the BOM is going to help me to know Which of them are there consumables that is needed to be itemized? Sometimes you may be interested in only the raw material. So when we are looking at using our Belacqua, for example, water basically is the foundation. The packaging you can remember. Maybe you can remember the label. What about the seal? You may forget. Those are the consumables you must put down so that you can remember each and every one. The second question is, are there files that must be attached to your BOM? Sometimes there should be some files to be attached to enable you reference or serve as reference to explain certain things for you when you are producing. Then you ask yourself, who are the people who are going to use my bill of material? You should know the people who are going to use and cater for their needs. You know that production will need it. Apart from that, the cost accountant will also need the BOM to enable them determine the cost of the product. So you should have all of them in mind and cater for their needs. Then the last question is, how will you track your BOM revision? So when we have agreed on a particular one, use it for production, and we need to change to a new version, we should be able to track to say that BOM number 1/1 is the first one, 1/2 is the second one. So you give it a reference number to enable easy tracking. We are trying to look at this chair. And so if we are going to produce, on the right hand, you see the things that you need. That you need the crossbar, you need the leg, you need the seat, which you put on top. You need the side rails. You need the back crossbar, and then you need the back support. So these are the things you must specify and indicate the number of each of them that you need to produce one. So if I'm going to produce 10 or 100, if I get one, I multiply by the quantity of chairs I want to produce. And that is good enough for me. Let's quickly watch this video, and I'll bring my presentation to an end.
A bill of materials breaks down every component needed to manufacture a product, from the materials to the A bill of materials breaks down every component needed to manufacture a product, from the raw materials to the assemblies and subassemblies to the quantities of each component. Like when you get a new dresser and the first thing on the instructions is, what's in this box? Or how a recipe begins with the things you will need. A bill of materials can be single level or multi-level. A single level bill of materials for, say, a wheelbarrow might have a wheelbarrow at the top and underneath the wheel, legs, handles, and a bucket. A multi-level bill of materials offers greater details and more levels. So the wheel might need an axle, spacer, and axle brackets. The legs would need bolts and braces. The handles would need a wheel guard and spacers, and the bucket would require different kinds of bolts. It would also outline the quantity, cost, product code, description, and other part specifications. A bill of materials serves as the foundation of production planning systems and provides the data for other business processes. It helps companies plan material purchases, estimate costs, control inventory, track and plan material requirements, and reduce waste.
Okay, thank you very much. So, we watched the video. In summary, what is a bill of material? What is a bill of material, or BOM? We all watched the video. What did you hear? I want you to tell me something. It was poor, so you didn't hear well. Okay, but at least I did a presentation before the video. So what did you hear from me? If the sound was poor, what did you hear from me? Oh, anybody? BOM? Yeah, there is a man there.
My understanding is this, that
because I like Abenkwan. If I want to eat Abenkwan, all the things I will eat, the crackers, everything I need to keep my well-cooked Abenkwan are my bill of material for the Abenkwan.
That is a perfect example.
Okay, time out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Please, where is, okay, so this is the other microphone. No, so let me have this. Your feedback. Okay, I can see a lot of hands.
Thank you. The font size was too small. I had to squint before I could see some of the text. And then the sound of the video was very low. So at a point I couldn't hear.
Very well noted. Thank you.
I think the presentation was quite loaded. The content was there. It was good. But I think it should have been a little lighter. You know, when he asked somebody to explain, you realize that the gentleman who spoke, it was a little funny. You get it? He talked about the fact that if he wants to make Abenkwan, and that stuck better. He had the content all right, but it was more like a lecture. So at a point, I got a bit off, and I wasn't really following what he was doing. So I think with topics that are a bit technical, you have to try and put in a few things that would, yes, more practical examples, and even a joke or two, so that it will hold our attention. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. What I noticed is that they showed us their source of video, that is YouTube. And you can't rely on internet all the time. So the best thing is next time you download it and play it live, not through the internet. Thank you.
I think one thing I also noticed was the questions you ask before you get a BOM. So you were asking the how, the where, and I thought one key thing that was missing was the price, because you need to know the price before you choose the where. The price will tell where you will go for the BOM. So if the price is missing in the questions, then where will you go and then buy those BOMs?
I think for that, let me give this explanation. Okay. The one designing the BOM is different from the accountant who is going to buy. So when they have developed the BOM, that is why we said if you have different vendors, it will enable you to select the one with the best price, but not sacrificing quality. So at the design stage of your BOM, you are not interested in how much it will cost. But when you have finalized it, that is when you decide where to buy and cost will come in. So thank you for your question.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer too.
Mine is a question. I have an organization and I have about 15 different parts that I use to produce a product. But I keep running out of one part and I'm not effective or efficient in what I do. What can this BOM do for me? Because I hear you talk about ERP, but you didn't explain it. What can this do for me?
What happened is that the BOM will give you an idea of the quantity of each raw material and component and parts that you will require. So depending on your production budget, then it will tell you that for this particular part, you should order this quantity and even get some stocks. So in stock management, they have what is called the minimum, maximum, and reorder level, and so on and so forth. So that will influence the purchasing department to put in these measures, buy the right quantity for you so that you don't run shortage of those stocks.
Are you satisfied with the answer?
I am sure that we are trying to bring together some responsibility. Developing BOM is different from procurement. What you are talking about has to do with procurement. Basically, do you need an enterprise resource management program to enable you manage your stocks, take the right decision to avoid stock shortages? That is basically for the role of the procurement department. But developing the BOM will help the procurement department to buy the right quantity at the right time so that you avoid the shortages you are talking about.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I like this introduction. He involved us from the beginning, and it made me know that for the Belakwa water, you need this, you need that, you need that. So at least it prepared me. And I related it to women when we are cooking. We prep before we start. So I think that's how I related it. And then the gentleman talked about Abenkwan, and he brought it down well for me after that. So I think you did a good introduction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other contribution? It shouldn't be only negative. The positive too should also come.
So I just want to commend him very well because he had a technical knowledge on the particular topic. So his knowledge on the topic is very, very well.
Thank you.
Any other feedback? Okay. Yes. The gentleman knows his content. That one, you can't take it from him. So clap for him. So what you should have done with that is that don't load your slides because you have the content. So just, they call it PowerPoint. They say there's power in the point. Yes. So you just put something there and try to explain it. It looked like your slides was loaded. Yes. And when you load it, the font size becomes small. Then your participants will struggle to read. Then the examples, someone used Abenkwan and we're all happy. You have to tailor your examples to your audience. I saw you using the manufacturer of car. I'm not sure anyone here, any company here is manufacturing car. Yes, but I'm not sure someone is a car manufacturer here. Just pick the simple things that you do. Because you're going to teach your factories, your organization. So pick something. Yesterday, some group were using their school, which was very fantastic because that's what they are into. They relate to it more than using the car example. Then, if possible, try and look for more images as you are reducing the text. If you use your own examples, you have images to add it to it. It makes the presentation lively, and they are always anxious to see another picture or some image that will explain whatever you are presenting better to them than just reading to them. Then, like the video link that someone suggested, you don't have to go back to your laptop and come. Just copy the link, download the video on your laptop, then copy the link, embed it in the presentation. When you get it, just click it. It will go and pick the video and show. And no one will see that you are showing from YouTube or whatever it is. Then I think you were struggling to face your laptop. So as much as possible, first use your own device. You know it better than any other one. Then try to face it before even they come and call you. You don't come and you struggle to start. You have 15 minutes, you use almost 3 minutes to start.
It will not happen again.
But overall, I like the way you were doing the presentation. You own it. You were trying to make sure that your participants understand. The only thing that you didn't involve them much, like you were lecturing them. Someone just mentioned it. So next time, try involve them more.
Next time I'll teach.
No, don't teach. No, facilitate.
You facilitate. I'll facilitate.
You have to facilitate. Yes, so that they will also be part of it. And you were also not moving much because you were trying to lecture us. So when you facilitate, it will give you the opportunity to go there, give the microphone to someone to give you feedback, give someone opportunity to give you contribution. Then you are facilitating, you are interacting with them.
Okay.
But overall, you've done well. Clap for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, hold on. Mr. Osei is coming.
So, the BOM, he said the format is not the same as the type. No, we were talking of format. They said the format, then you mentioned engineering, bill of material, then you see, there's a format for preparing the bill of material. So you rule you make a table, you list all your items. There's a column for the items, then another column, the quantity you need, the unit cost, then the amount. So that when you do the multiplication, at the end of it, you know the total cost that you need for the material, the item you want to produce. The bill of material is specific to a product. It's not an inventory list. The bill of material, so when we are doing it for the masterclass persons, we tell them that, we just enact a small play. Your wife is going to the market on Saturday. She tells you that this week you are going to prepare jollof rice, you're going to make a bunun kwai, you're going to make this and all sorts of food. So what is he going to buy? Then they all talk. You buy this, buy that. They say the same thing is for your job. If somebody comes, he wants a bed. What and what things do you need to make a bed? Then they will list. So the bill of material is specific to a product. And the bill of material is not an invoice or pro forma invoice. I don't know why the bill of material should go to the accounts. This is just to inform my customer that these are the materials I will need. Based on this, then I can ask for advance. Say, for the materials, it will cost you 2,000 cedis. Can you please give me the money so that I can buy the materials as advance? That's for the masterclass persons. So the bill of material, they should use it as the basis for collecting advance from their customers.
I think I said it's for the cost accountant to do
cost accountant.
Cost accountant to do costing.
Yeah, that's at the company level. Yeah, the cost accountant does that at the company level. Yes, that's one, you're perfectly right. But for the masterclass persons and for all of us, bill of material is specific to what you're going to produce, a particular product. Then you itemize all what you need to produce it. Quickly, what then is the difference between invoice and pro forma invoice?
Invoice is finalized, pro forma is ahead of the purchase. So pro forma will go ahead to the customer before he decides to purchase. So when he decides to purchase, he gets the actual invoice.
Yeah, most of the people, when you go to town, you say, could you invoice, bra? Go and bring the invoice. Go and bring invoice. Normally, that's what they say. Go and bring invoice. So please, correct them.
Okay, let me ask a question about the BOM. Can we relate it to those in the service industry, or you need to produce a physical product before you can? Because it looks like all the examples we are getting is towards a physical product.
No.
So those of us in the service industry, I'm just relating it when you were talking. Those of us in the service industry, I happen to be in the freight forwarding business. So if I am getting a BOM, from what I gathered in your thoughts, I can tell the customer that you need to pay this amount of tax per the goods you are bringing in. You need to pay this amount of shipping line, shipping line charge.
Yeah.
And then you need to make this amount of FDA payment. You put all these things together, and then you send them in the pro forma invoice to the customer. Then the customer does a pre-funding to us, and then we start the whole process. So looking at the demonstration, everything was geared to a fiscal product, but those of us also in the service industry can also relate. And so this is the side of the service BOM.
Yeah, you are perfectly right. It's not only for product. BOM is also for the service industry. What we learned from, when we started implementing the program, we had to do evaluation. So at the evaluation at whole, it came out that the BOM, as we have been calling it, is suitable for the manufacturers. But for the service people, they prefer to use the term budget, which we don't have problem. They say budget. So they list all the things they will need to provide that service. And then they tell you how much, like you mentioned, this one will cost this one will cost that. So at the end of it, the customer knows how much is to pay. You are not cooking figures. That is all. Yeah. So bill of material or the budget is specific to whatever service you are delivering or product you are making. So that the customer knows that you are not cooking figures for him to extract money from him. That's all. Like you're admitting students, the procedure, you have to pay this, you have to pay this, you have to pay this. Let the person know. Don't just get one figure. Please, let's move on. I think we can now discharge him. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's in your group. You see. Madam, you are biased. He's in your group. Yes, he's biased. This one, you didn't ask.
Good morning. My name is Mariette, and this is my colleague Emmanuel, who will be presenting on behalf of Group 9. Our presentation today has to do with defining quality and then planning what quality is. These are our group members. This is the content of our presentation. At the end of this presentation, everybody here should be able to define what quality is from a customer and a producer's perspective, see how different people perceive quality, understand the cost involved in quality, understand the implications of poor quality, understand how quality assurance can be planned into processes, and implement continuous improvement using the PDCA cycle. Quality, in today's competitive market, quality is one of the key decisions in operations when it comes to products and services. Quality is important because it increases profits, reduces our cost, and improves customer satisfaction. However, quality is a very difficult term to define because quality means different things to different people. Managing quality requires deliberate effort to achieve the best the first time. So please, can anybody help me define what quality is? Anybody here who can help me define or give me the person's definition of quality? Thank you.
Yes, so for me, I've got more than 10 definitions or 10 of quality, but I want to say how it reflects as quality as excellence,
quality as fitness for purpose, quality as value for money, quality as value addition. There's no time to explain, but if people are interested. Then there's also my favorite one these days after COVID-19 is quality as relevance and quality as transformation. That suits the mindset change, which we learned about the first day. And then the last one is quality is doing right when no one is looking. So that one, you see labels everywhere. Don't steal tissue. Leave the toilet clean.
Thank you very much. So for our group, we define quality as performance upon expectation and something that is fit for its function. Another definition we came up with in terms of service was a service can be said we can define a service to be of good quality if it satisfies the customer's requirements in terms of durability, performance, grade, appearance, and its intended use and purpose. Quality can also be defined as the standard of something as measured against other things of a similar kind, the degree of excellence of something in terms of product or service. How is quality viewed from a customer's perspective and a producer's perspective? From a customer's perspective, quantity, from a customer's perspective, it could be the quantity provided for the price paid, reliability or the lifetime of the product or service, the extent to which the product or service satisfies requirements, example, its appearance, its technical ability. So if I tell you that this laptop should be able to allow you do PowerPoint presentations, is it really fit for that purpose that I am selling to you? From the producer's perspective, quality is viewed as something that they have manufactured or a product or service they are offering that meets exact specifications. So if I tell you, if you drink water, the water is good for your health. I'm manufacturing the water, so I tell you water is life, water is good for health. Does it do exactly what I'm telling you it does? And then from the manufacturer's perspective, quality can be viewed as a highly skilled workforce. In order for me to give you quality, I should be able to employ the right people for the right job. And also, for producers, they view quality as when they do not receive any complaints from their customers. What are the attributes of quality? For us, the attributes of quality have to do with performance, the features of the product, the reliability of the service, conformance, serviceability, durability, the aesthetics of the product, and the perceived quality from the customer's perspective. What are the components of quality? The components of quality are quality management, which is subgrouped into quality planning, quality assurance, quality control, and quality improvement. What is the cost of quality? You need to get the quality right for the first time to prevent unnecessary cost. Prevention cost, reducing the potential for defects. Appraisal cost, we did a small graph here, so we are trying to explain what the graph is. Appraisal costs have to do with evaluating products, parts, and services. Internal failure, producing defective parts or services by delivery. And the external costs have to do with defects discovered after delivery. Improved quality automatically leads to increased profits for any company. And then it also leads to a good reputation for the company producing or the company offering a service. Before I go on, please, can anybody tell us the implications of what poor quality is? What are some of the implications if a product or a service does not meet the customer's requirements? Yes, please.
So if I have, say, perceived quality and I buy the product and it doesn't meet what I thought it was supposed to meet, then I get dissatisfied.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Relating to that, I also believe you may end up losing the goodwill of your customers.
Thank you.
Also, you as the employee, your confidence level will reduce. But if you produce a high quality product, you have high confidence. Thank you.
You're welcome. So for us, the implications of poor quality, as we summarized here, you lose your customers, you lose some money. There will be increased cost because if, let's say, there's a recall of a batch of, let's say, medication, it would have to be discarded, and then you would have to manufacture again to meet your customers' needs. Thereby, you have to reinvest capital into it again. So you've lost some money, and it will affect the company's profits and loss balance. Also, there's lower profits, and then it damages the image of the brand or the company. So please, my colleague Emmanuel will take up the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marriott. So to continue with what quality is, we will look at planning quality. And the role of quality planning is basically to design a process that will be able to meet established goals, and then on established goals on quality under operating conditions. And in an institution or in an organization, we have techniques that you use in order to be able to achieve quality. So we'll look at just quite a few of the techniques here, and they are customer feedback. We have quality circles. We have the PDCA cycle. We also have analytical tools, which comprise of the scatter diagrams, graphical analysis, cause and effects diagrams. So we'll just pick a case study, and then with this case study, we are looking at our company, or let me say our organization, namely Group 9 Enterprise. And the session that we are looking at is the filling and packaging plant. The number of meetings that this is more of a summary of what we've done. So the number of meetings we've held is 7 within the span of 6 months. And then, as we already know, our group members are made up of 8 people. The date of inception was the 2nd of February, 2022. And the problem that's, then that's good. So the problem that we have as an organization is periodic ion contamination in our product. And we receive this from customer complaints. And the objective for this group of quality people is to eliminate the ion in our final products. So first of all, what we do is to set up our quality circle. And the quality circle is made up of key stakeholders within the organization who will brainstorm and come up with what problems are or what the issues are, which leads to the problem you are having on the market. And we are going to look at a tool, a technique that we'll use in determining what causes the problem, which is the ion in our product. So first of all, you would see that the circled box there is the main effect, so which is the ion in product. So that's the effect we're having on the market. And then we have the main causes. These 6 are the main causes. And we have specific causes. So these are the specific causes under the main causes that we have. So under the measurement, we have lab error, calibration issues. So these are just more of samples that we created. So basically the fishbone diagram or the cause and effect diagram is possibilities that are causing the effects, which is the ion in our products. So we don't know where the problem is coming from yet. So you list every possible problem or any possible cause that you think would lead to the problem. So after getting the problems or the causes listed, you go on the field and then now figure out from which point the possibility is coming from. If you find out that, okay, with our lab, there's nothing like lab errors in there, so you strike that out, and then you move on to the next one. when you're looking at manpower, are people fatigued? Are they working so many hours? If it's not the case, then you strike that out. And then you narrow it down to a particular problem, and then you then apply the PDCA cycle, which is to plan and then identify your problems, which is what we've done in our fishbone diagram. Then you move on to doing, testing the potential solutions, because you don't know which will work for now. So you are testing the potential problems, and then you do your checks. The checks basically is to collect data from the solutions that you've implemented. Then you analyze them and find out, okay, I'm having high levels of iron in my product. I've implemented a particular solution. So is it affecting my final product? Am I having lower levels of iron in my products now? And that is how it works. Now, when you find the right solution, then you implement the best solution, which is you acting. So after coming up with the solution, then you brainstorm the solutions, you list them down. So some of the examples we have here are providing a scheduled rust removing exercise on all equipment, also replacing rust-prone equipment with food-grade stainless steel, and then performing chemical tests from time to time to determine the amount of iron present in a product, which is more of sampling, quality checks, and all that. And also training the workforce to be able to identify hazards within their working areas. Also, we have in-process checks of machines and materials, which is also related to quality control. And when we are done with that, we have observations after implementation, which is also listed, which is more of the acting. So after you are done, what is your observation of the results of the meetings that you've had, the up and downs and all that? So you have lower iron readings, which is more of an outcome that we've had from the meetings we've had. So lower iron readings from chemical tests, less to no consumer complaints, which is what we want. And then we also have defective products being reduced by 90%. So they need to be specific. The observations that you are making, they need to be specific. And then to conclude, Mariette will do the conclusion for us.
In conclusion, excellent quality should be a standard and should not be compromised on, as it has an effect on growth and development of any business. Quality is relative, but in all, the attributes and components discussed should be the benchmark of quality. We should be we think that we should move from satisfying and delighting the customer to wowing the customer by providing quality and innovative products and services through continuous process improvement. Please, we have a video of a layman's perspective on quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, thank you for and well done for the presentation. But I have two questions which I may want you to advise. First of all, I want to know who defines quality, because we produce Yomi yogurt, and let's say we say that our Yomi yogurt, yes, our Yomi yogurt has a pH of, let's say, 3.0. And two different customers go to buy the same product. One calls and says, yes, I like the quality. It's very sour. Then another person also buys the same quality and says that, it's too sour, we don't like it. So when it happens like that, we as the manufacturers, what then do we do, if you can advise? Thank you.
I'll give the microphone to one of our colleagues in Group 9 to answer this question, please. Thank you. They produce Yomi yogurt. One of the complaints was another was okay. So what as the company, how would you advise them to standardize their product? Oh.
Okay. Sorry, I was then talking to my colleague, so I didn't hear the question well. Please can you get me the question?
Okay, so the question is very brief and concise. I'm saying that we are the sole producers of Yomi yogurt, and yes, and so we have set our standards that we are producing low fat, low sugar, and then it must be sour. And so, per the customer's perspective, we realized that a pH of 5 is ideal. And so we started producing yogurt of pH of 3. And now 2 different customers have gone to buy it. One person calls to say that, Les, I like your quality. Your product is the quality standard is so high. Another person also calls and says that it's too sour. So we are confused as an organization. We want to satisfy their demands. What do you advise we do? Thank you.
All right, thanks for the question. When it comes to food, you first take the health of the consumer in question. It's not what the consumer say he wants. If the FDA standard said the pH should fall between 3 to 5, if a customer said, I want it this way, which doesn't fall within the specification, you need to go by what the FDA is asking you to do.
Yeah, for me, the whole presentation was more like a theory than a practical thing. So you can see that I was just telling him that this particular topic, you could have brought a product, like you could have brought the yogurt here, and then in explanation for what quality is, you could use a very physical tool in your hand to explain what you understand by quality, and then you can also get the perception of the audience on what they also define quality. Because you saw the whole thing was a theory. So sometimes you do the whole presentation, you are done with it, and people even forget what we had when it came to the quality presentation. But you look at this guy, when they were doing the BOM presentation, there's no way any of us will forget that Abenquine. So the examples you use in your presentation should be such that it will leave a memory on the audience, so that everybody leaves here, you have taken something out of the quality presentation that was done. Another thing that I also noticed was that you cannot do quality presentation without bringing in the competitor. So I'll use the service industry as an example. Before a customer complains to Apex that your service is of poor quality, then it means the customer is comparing Apex with another freight forwarding company before they can say that your service is of poor quality. But assuming there are no competitors, then what would be your basis for saying that our service is of poor quality? So you can't do a presentation on quality without bringing in the competitor, because the competitor actually gives the customer the option or the right to say that, yes, Yomi yogurt doesn't meet the standard. Because of course, the customer is comparing it with another yogurt from another company before he can tell you that. So the presentation should be such that the competitor cannot be taken out of the whole thing. And that is what I didn't also see in the presentation.
Okay. Congratulations. I could hear you. You were very audible in your presentation. Concerning the question about the 2 different customers, the Yomi yogurt thing, I think that whatever you are producing, it is not to meet everybody. You need a niche. So if you are producing for those who want the sweet stuff, that's great. If you are producing for those who are health conscious, they want the sour thing, that's great. If you are producing, if you want to do, like if you want to have, you don't have the capacity, and you want to produce for just a small group, concentrate on your small niche. When you grow bigger, like what Fan Milk is doing, you can have as wide a range as possible. That is my thoughts.
Yes. Thank you. I can't repeat it because she has said it very well. Now I've got two. Number one, can we go back to the, let's go back to the slides. Go. Yeah. One, font size, he has said it. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we are talking about iron. We are talking about iron in a product. Am I right? Number one, you are right to say lower iron readings from chemical tests on the product. And then you say less to no consumer complaints. How will they now, sometimes you can have too much of a product, a substance in a product. But as lay people, we may not know it. You remember the milk that was recalled and the juice that was, Ceres juice that was recalled. It's only through those tests, you see. So I think your bullet number 2 is questionable. Less to no consumer complaints. Ordinary people like us, where can we always test to see that the iron levels are okay? I just want to ask you a question. What compromises quality? You can give me a lot of things.
Okay, so I think yesterday we learned something new. So we'll throw that question to the whole room, and then, well, I'm facilitating, so I'm giving you the opportunity to give me an answer. Anyone?
Maybe the question again because they were not paying attention.
Yes, I'm saying we have heard all about quality and quality assurance, but there are certain things maybe which can compromise quality. And what are they? Just think and reflect of what normally happens in your workplace. And I think it's one aspect we can't do without. Thank you.
I'm sure in manufacturing, the order of addition can even cause compromised quality. So the one, if a particular chemical is supposed to be added first, followed by the other, and you think that, oh, at the end of the day, they all produce the same thing, I can add them anyhow. The order in which you are adding the chemical can compromise the quality of your product.
That is not following your SOPs. Is anyone coming to present on SOPs? Okay, all right. Then I will not say much.
I think another key factor that can also affect or compromise quality is time. So we look at those in the design industry. You've been given an order and you are supposed to execute this within 1 week. And you notice that the quantity of the order and then the time you have been given. Sometimes people compromise on quality because they are at all costs pressed to meet the quantity, and then they compromise on the quality because of time. A lot of it, time would be a very great factor or influencer in influencing the quality of the product.
Are you sure it's only time, not money?
Time is one of it, so money.
So to add to that, a lot of things do affect quality from our perspective. They used to say a certain word in Twi, say pepe. Sometimes, instead of buying high quality products for cost purposes, people tend to buy the low cost. And at the long term, it affects or jeopardizes the quality of the product. Also, maintenance culture is one of the key things that affect quality. Instead of having periodic or systematic maintenance culture, people wait till the machine breaks down, and in the middle of manufacturing, if you are supposed to use 5 hours for a complete manufacturing, you might end up using over 10 to 15 hours, and that will have a negative impact on the quality of the product. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add a little to what you said, most of the time, greed, the word greed, that is the main thing. Why, you are supposed to add 10 grams of this, you are adding 1 gram just to make more profit. So I can say greed is the main, yes, greed, that is all.
Okay, thank you. Compromising quality, also the source of your raw materials. Sometimes, let's say you source your raw material from, let's say Germany, those in the manufacturing industries. And the formulation is based on that. Some of the raw materials, we have grades, grade 1, grade 2, and then all of a sudden you change the source of raw material to, let's say, China. For Chinese, they can get you a whole lot of grades, low price, to suit what you want to you can afford. And that will affect your quality of the product. And 2, somebody mentioned SOP. In your presentation, for instance, I did not see SOP or STP. STP, that's Standard Test Procedure. Then SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. Yes. Okay, no, per their presentation, they are talking about quality. So, okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Hello, can I talk? I'm Josephine. Please, the Yomi Yogurt guy, you've marketed Yomi since the day we started. And I like Yomi a lot, especially the vanilla one with the grains in it. But I don't get it. I can roam in my neighborhood. Please, I'm here. Watch here. I can roam in my neighborhood. You have to go to the mall every time or this big supermarket, and they will sell it at outrageous prices. So I'm forced to go to Makola often to get Yomi. Please, I beg you, tell whoever is in charge, your marketing should be upped, because you've made people enjoy your product and it's not in the market. What is that?
Hello? Yes, please, I'm here. I think your presentation was actually very nice. You did it very well. Content on point. I like the way you began the presentation and said that quality is actually dependent on the individual, either the customer or even the manufacturer. But I also wanted to add to that there are certain industries that have set standards of quality. An example is the International Organization of Medicine, where in the healthcare, they said quality should be what they define as safe, time-bound, effective, efficient, equitable, and also patient-centered. I was hoping to see something like that. So the airline also have their standard for quality. Hotel industry have their standard for quality. So I just want to say this to support that. Can you go back into your slides where you started the project? No. The case study. No, the case study, the slide before. Yes, this one. So you set an objective, elimination of iron in final product. I was thinking, was this the goal? And if it's the goal, is it smart? There's no time in it. There's no measure. Is it achievable? Is it realistic? So that was the question I was actually wanted to ask. We need to, your goal before you do the quality improvement project should be very clear for everyone to understand. Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so
Hello. Yes, a follow-up question on the packaging. I was expecting to see a specific product that you are working with or you're working on. Secondly, you made mention of iron. Is it a chemical composition or iron particles in the product? You were not specific on that. Yes. Thank you.
The one point that can compromise your quality is also your manpower. And your manpower, I'm looking at whether your staff are skilled. If they are not skilled, have they been trained to do whatever they are supposed to do? And thirdly, you can also have staff who are so bent out that they can't really produce what you want them to do. Thank you.
Thank you. I think from what we are seeing here, we can all agree that quality is very expensive, right? So you can't joke with quality. You joke with quality and you are collapsing your business. Okay. So I think I have few observations. Yes, you've done well. It was a good presentation. But the first presenter was reading. And he was very fast. So I was sitting down. If you have a slow participant, the person will struggle to catch up. So when you are doing a presentation, it's like we said, it's facilitation. So don't like you are reading to them. Yes, so you have to slow down and don't read. The second presenter was not reading. You will look at it and discuss. If you do that, it will help you. Because when you read, you miss one word and you started doing MMM. But when you are not reading, because you are just picking and discussing it, it is coming from you, so it will flow. Yes. So I think on the whole, you've done well. Let's clap for them.
I'm just saying the comments you are making is not just for the group, it's for all of us, because we are all going to make presentation at our various levels. So we should all take note of the comments. It's not just for them. About the quality especially. Yes, now to the medical people, that's a question. When we come to the hospital, you give us drugs. Maybe you've given me 5 different drugs, and I take each one in the morning. How should we take them?
In relation to drugs, if you're given 5 different drugs, some drugs should be taken before or after or during or with a meal. So most of the time, whoever is the pharmacist or whoever is in the pharmacy giving you the drug should specify. And sometimes to make life easier for patients, what we do is that we put specific times. So sometimes we give clear instructions and tell the patient, okay, for your antihypertensive, let's say amlodipine, take it immediately after breakfast. So you ask the person, what time do you normally have breakfast? Some will tell you, we do not have breakfast at all. Then you tell the person, okay, you can have a cup of tea and take it, or the time that is suitable for you. For some drugs, it works better if you take it at night, like the statins. So we tell the patients, okay, for these drugs, you take it before bedtime. So most of the time, if you have 5 drugs, it's specified. We try to be specific, whether some should be taken before meals or after meals. And then we also indicate the contraindications that come with some of the drugs. Because there are some drugs, when you're taking, you cannot take milk, you cannot eat yogurt, you cannot take in cheese. So most of the time, whoever is at the pharmacy should be specific and try to make the patient's life easier. And now, most of the time, we try to prevent polypharmacy. So for, let's say, a hypertensive patient, to make the person's life easier, you're going to give an ACE inhibitor, a diuretic. Now, there are formulations that come together as one tablet. For example, Exforge HCT is a combination of 3 drugs. So that comes as one pill. So now we try as much as possible to find formulations that will aid patients' compliance. Thank you.
I asked because I have an uncle who takes about 6 tablets immediately after breakfast, one after the other. And I was telling him that these tablets can react in your system and can lead to some serious problems. He doesn't seem to agree with me. He said, I'm not a doctor.
Please, it's true. So what the pharmacist should have done was to explain to your uncle, because they are what we call drug-drug interactions, they are drug-food interactions. So even though you have 6 drugs to take in the morning spans between a period of, let's say, 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. So let's say if you take your first tablets at 6 a.m., you could advise the person to take the next one at 7:30, maybe the following one at 8:30, 9:30. There should be some space. Some drugs can be taken together without any possible interactions. So for health facilities, I would advise that the pharmacist always explains how the patient should take their medications very well. Thank you. Medication. It can be translated. Okay, so for my company, we have SOPs when it comes to drug dispensing, drug administration. I'm sure Nyaho, we have Nyaho here. I'm sure Nyaho also has SOPs on drug dispensing and the masses.
I think
If we begin to change our hospitals.
The doctors, I went to a hospital once and I asked for some explanation and the doctor was rude. I called the owner of the hospital immediately in the presence of the doctor and made a complaint. She came and apologized profusely and gave me a different doctor in the hospital. In the presence of the doctor. Do you think the doctor will behave the same way tomorrow?
No.
No. We make them behave, treat us wrong. Me, you won't get me.
And exactly. And then one thing is that in Ghana, most people are afraid to ask doctors questions. They're afraid to ask their pharmacist questions. For me, my advice is anytime you have to take medication, especially those of us who buy from the community pharmacists, please ask for a pharmacist. Because most of the people there, the medicine counter assistants, they are sales girls. They have no idea. So they'll come, they'll sell paracetamol, they'll give you a lot of drugs. They are selling. And every businessman, the objective is to make money. So the sales girls there but then if you ask questions, if you ask for the right people in the right places, you get answers. And it's your rights. We have a patient's rights charter, and it's your rights. The doctor should explain to you your medical condition, why you're given A, B, C, D. And when you get to the pharmacy, it is also the pharmacist's responsibility to tell you, okay, the doctor is giving you Cipro. This is why the doctor is giving you Cipro. So it's a collective responsibility. Anytime you're in doubt, please speak to your doctor, speak to your pharmacist, speak to a healthcare practitioner that you trust. And I think everybody should have a healthcare practitioner as a friend to verify certain information that you are giving. Thank you.
Yes, please. Oh. Yes. I also have one or two regarding the pieces of equipment. I think the presenter earlier on talked about how to mix. Some people disregard the order of mixing. But in addition to that, there are the issues of measurement. And at this point, the National Standards Authority is very important and key. And I don't know to what extent we work with them, those in manufacturing and those in medicine and other areas. Let me give a quick example. When I go to Nyahu Clinic, there are one or two things I do. When I go to the observations, I weigh myself. They've got 2 observation rooms. I weigh myself in that room. Maybe I weigh 93 kgs. I go to the other scale. Maybe I weigh 91 kilograms. Do you know already there's something wrong? Assuming I'm supposed to get, for example, bilharzia medication, which is according to my weight, either I'm given too much or too little. We are talking of serious issues of quality and quality assurance. The second thing is my temperature or my blood pressure. I normally do the same, but you find they are very responsive and reactive people there. I go into their quality assurance, and I think that's one other thing. They follow up to the customer. I say, your scales, you need recalibration. Because if you continue to say it's 3 milligrams, if you are into manufacturing, be careful. You may lose out. Where you think you are putting 1 gram, which is required, you are putting 5 grams. And you are at a big loss. So let's think of recalibration of our pieces of equipment regularly. It helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is David. I'm representing Group 5. We will be discussing 2 topics. The first one I will do will be employment strategies. At the end of the session, we should be able to understand labor planning policies, identify the major issues in job design, and identify major economic and work environment issues. Now, what do you think of these things I've put on the slide? Just tell me what you think of human resource strategy for competitive advantage. What do you think about labor planning? What do you think about job design? What do you think about economic and work environment, the visual workspace, and ethics? Just mention any one thing you think about any one of the topics I have displayed. Yes, I see a hand here.
Okay, so ergonomics and the work environment. I think I've forgotten what the definition is, but then the ergonomics has more to do with getting up, moving around a bit whilst working, taking intermittent breaks. How is the lighting like? And those, I mean, for the work environment,
Thank you.
How is the lighting like?
Thank you.
And such things.
Thank you. Anyone to make a comment on any of the others?
Ethics, sometimes it's one of the things that compromises quality. And so I think the industry and the companies should take seriously that aspect. And then regarding the human resource strategy, let's be thorough. You know, also the nepotism thing compromises the human resource strategy. So what can we do to just make sure we come to the competitive advantage?
Thank you. I would want to proceed because we have limited time. We are doing 2 presentations. Now, human resource strategy, the objective of a human resource strategy is to manage labor and design jobs so people are effectively and efficiently utilized. Human resource is one of your most valuable resources. So you want to utilize them in the most profitable way to you. And for them to be profitable, you have to use them effectively and efficiently. How do you do this? There are 2 ways of achieving this. People should be effectively utilized within the constraints of other operations management
decisions. And then people should have a reasonable quality of work life in an atmosphere of mutual trust and commitment. You see, if your employee doesn't trust the environment within which he works, it creates a basic problem for you. It creates a foundational problem for you. If you are not able to exact commitment from your workers, if it is raining, would you get phone calls from 50% of your workers that because of the rain they can't come? That should tell you a lot. There's this slide. Because we share the slides, I want you to take your time to look at this particular one yourself and relate it to your specific company or industry in which you are. Now, labor planning. Follow demand exactly. You match direct labor cost to production. Labor planning also looks at the cost in hiring and termination. What some of us always forget is that when you are terminating an employee, it may come with a cost. Forget about the legal cost of the person wanting to take you on legally for unfair termination. But even the cost of replacing the person, there's a potential cost of even losing some of your existing customers, some of your existing suppliers, if the person is in procurement, for example. So we need to consider all these things when we are taking decisions as a business. Employment stability policies. Study these policies to see how you can maintain stability in your employees to reduce your staff attrition. Another issue we should look at is the work schedule. Work schedules come in various ways these days because now we even have remote working where people are working from home and all. Okay, so you need to manage your work schedule of your employees. Then we go to job classification and work rules. Tell the person exactly what you're supposed to do. What are you supposed to do? Okay, when are you supposed to do it? Specify what conditions they can do it, and often the results, now the unions can also have an impact on what you do in your organization. There are some things you cannot do because of union. There are some things you can do or you may have to adjust because of union. An example is where a union negotiates paternity leave. Paternity leave is not regular, it's not common to most institutions now. But the law allows it. And if you get a strong union that is able to negotiate to implement paternity leave, wahala for you. The men will also now go home when their wives give birth. So it's not only the women you'll be having to make alternative arrangements for when they deliver, but the men will also go home. I wonder what the men do when they go home. They offer support in cash or in kind. Okay, job design. When we talk about job design, we are looking at the job specialization, the job expansion, the psychological components, self-directed teams, and then motivation and incentive systems. We'll share the slides so you can spend more time to go through them. I'm looking at my time here and I'm getting out of time, so I want to move to our second presentation. But the slides will be shared so you can... Yes, please. Yes, our presentation is ready. It's here. No, I'm not done with the first one. Okay, we have 25 slides. Okay. For one slide. The second slide is about 11. So I timed myself. I gave myself 5 minutes for the first presentation. I'm already at 7 minutes. That's why I wanted to move on to the second one. But if the House would agree, we can go through the full presentation. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for the clarification. So when we talk about job specialization, there are some jobs which are specialized. There are some jobs that you need more training to engage in. There are some jobs that you cannot. A simple example,
You cannot ask a professional driver in your institution to come and do the work of a procurement manager. You understand? So you should encourage your staff to spend more time in training in their fields of specialization. So even if you have a driver, you can take your driver for defensive driving course. You understand? You have a procurement manager. Is your procurement staff, are they in the professional procurement institution? Encourage them to join the institution. You could give them incentives. And it's not only about go and do a course and get a promotion, no. But you structure these incentives such that they are motivated to want to do it for their personal development. And the company benefits ultimately. If you come to job expansion is where people are taking on additional responsibilities, okay, doing things beyond their immediate scope of work, okay. If you come to the psychological components, every job you do has a psychological effect on you. So how is for example, a driver sitting and driving for long hours, okay, are there any adverse effects on the driver? How can you manage it? Okay, then self-directed teams. Build strong self-directed teams that the manager always doesn't have to be present. The manager must not always be present for things to go. Doing things right and getting it always right the first time, it saves a lot of money. Okay, then motivation and incentive system is basically salary. But when we're having the discussion, one person came up with a model where you want to build capacity in another person. Okay, now you as the leader of the institution or the owner of the business or the manager or maybe the head teacher, you have realized that this person can do these additional responsibilities. You want to build the person up. But there's somebody doing that work already. So call the person doing that work already. Tell him that I want to build up this person to take up this responsibility. Let's say managing a branch, managing a unit. Okay. Now, involve the current manager in the training of the new manager. Okay. And let the manager not feel that this person is coming to replace me and take away my work. So you can let the manager know that we are having a plan of opening a new branch and I need to build up somebody to manage that branch. So I will take you to the new branch. So train this person to take up your position. You will get commitment from that person. There's a question. No, this is not lying. Where you are going to open a new branch, if there's no such thing, but you are simply building capacity for replacement, you can fall sick. If you are sick, maybe you go on a maternity leave. Who replaces you? So I am building capacity. The key thing is involving the person who is in that role so he doesn't think that somebody is taking his responsibility. The person feels motivated. I am now a trainer. Management sees me as somebody who can train another person. So motivation comes in various forms. Okay, motivation can simply be in a regular huddle meeting. You call out somebody and commend the person in front of everybody. Oh, this person did A, this person did B, this person did C. Let us commend this person. I worked in an institution before where, as a branch manager, we had a loan promotion. And one of the security men brought a whole company to be giving loans. You call out a security man and you praise him in front of everybody. He feels good that day. Today, me too, the bank thinks that I am important. You understand? That is motivation. So motivation is not always about cash. That's what we should understand. Okay? But cash is essential in motivation. All right? So I've discussed these ones already, job expansion. Core job characteristics. Job should include the following characteristics: skills variety, job identity, job significance, autonomy. You should feel that your work is relevant in the whole scheme of things. Okay? It could be a packaging factory. Okay? I am only closing the boxes. and putting sellotape on it. Let the person understand the value of making sure the sellotape covers the proper place and the box doesn't open in transit. Okay? So people feel that the work they are doing is valuable. Without them, the company cannot meet their targets. Yeah. Motivation and incentive system, I've discussed this already, but there are various things you can do. Bonuses, profit sharing, gain sharing, incentive plans, knowledge-based system rewards for knowledge and skill. Okay? And these things should be transparent. It should be clear. Let us all know that if we go for 600 hours without an accident in the factory, this and this and this is the reward. So everybody works towards that. If there's an accident, everybody sees the accident. You don't hide the accident. You don't make it a secret. Then you come and inform them that we didn't meet the target, so there's no bonus sharing. People will be upset. So transparency is key in achieving these things that you want to achieve and getting the buy-in of all your staff. I'll take a moment to discuss the ergonomic and work environment. The ergonomics is the study of the interface between man and machine. Okay, this is often called the human factor. And the equipment we use interface with us in various ways. In the image there you can see the person is lifting a heavy object. Okay, we need to educate our colleagues to understand the effect of these activities on their personal health, and then also make available tools that would allow them to be efficient in the work they do without compromising their health. The next picture is showing a cockpit of a plane. Now, how does this environment impact the work of the pilot? Cockpits are designed in a very, very laborious and systemic way because of all these considerations. On the next two slides, I want you to spend time to look at them yourself. The recommended noise levels within environments. So when you go measure the noise levels in your offices and see if you are within acceptable international standards. And then the light levels also. There are equipment for measuring noise levels and light levels. So there are acceptable noise levels for everything we do. There are acceptable illumination levels for everything we do, because there can be long-term effects on our staff. Now, we have to organize our workspaces too efficiently. So, in the visual workplace, visual signals can take any form and serve many functions. They present a big picture. You can use it to track performance and use it for housekeeping. We have talked about, you see a lot of posters all around the place about do not leave the toilet seat up, put the tissue in the basket, do not leave the door open behind you. What else? Put off the air conditioner when you are exiting the room and all that. All these things enhance information sharing in the office and bring efficiency. If you look at my next slide, I'm looking at organizing your toolbox, for example, and then keeping a timer, okay, to prompt people of their work. If you are working in a factory and it's an automated system, you need to be consistent. So a timer on the wall can prompt everybody to hurry up. Like I was timing myself and I almost did not do one more slide. Okay. Yes, please.
Yes. Feedback for him, please.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah.
Good morning. Can you please go back on your slides where you spoke about job descriptions? Yeah, that's it. So I stand to be corrected though, but I fear with this kind of work rules, you'll be breeding robots in your workplace, because you're actually telling them what to do, when to do it, what conditions under which they are supposed to do it. I was thinking that, why not say the job description should be efficient? Because if they understand their role in the flow chart we learned yesterday, they are really supposed to know what to do. So you don't put a ceiling on them. They become more innovative than to telling them what to do, when to do it, what not to do. I don't know if my question is clear.
I understand your question. One of the consultants in our group discussed this yesterday, so I want the consultant to please take it up.
Thank you. If you do not tell the employee what to do, how would the employee know how to be efficient? He or she has to be told what to do. That doesn't mean the person has to be monotonous. And I'll link that to the job skills. So as an employee, you should make it a point to learn to develop other skills in addition to what you already have. I hope, I don't know if this makes meaning.
It's not too clear. It's not too clear, to be honest with you.
Yeah, let's get his reaction and then we'll come to you. Please go ahead.
Yes, because before you came for the job, you knew what you were coming for. And you are, like we learned yesterday, there's a flow chart. You are coming to play a specific role in that flow chart. You see what I mean? So you know what you are coming to do.
There are a number of scenarios here.
Yes.
Within a factory setting, within the workshop setting, there are specific things that you're supposed to do. If we are in a plant assembling a vehicle, for example, your job technically is monotonous. So you should know exactly what you are to do and how you are to do it.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you can think up more innovative ways of doing the same function to save cost, save time, enhance efficiency.
Great.
So the system should create an opportunity for you to be able to share that experience and test it for enhancement. So in as much as you are restricted to what you are supposed to do, there should be room for innovation and improvement. Thank you. I saw a hand here.
So I think this was under job description, something like that. I think that everybody needs to know what they can do, when they, what is it, who, when, and under what conditions. My name is Ajua. She is Jessica. Who has a question? I don't know what okay, I'm sure you are somewhere there. So we are both account staff. If I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to do, I will think that Jessica will make entries. Jessica will think that I would make entries. In the end, the job doesn't get done. If Jessica doesn't know what to do, based on what are we assessing here, there should be a point of reference and under what conditions they can do it. Jessica, every cash you collect, issue a system receipt. We don't do manual receipt here. But then, when there is a blackout, when there is internet downtimes, please resort to the manual receipt. Light about system, when the light comes, or when the system is restored, then you make system entries. So these clarifications are necessary to ensure that somebody is held accountable and responsible for specific duties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just on the lighter note, you see, in Kwasia 70 and a year it is because of foolishness, or let me be a little harsh, pardon me, stupidity. That is why we give people names. So we know that it is Kofi Mensah who did this. It is Kwame Appiah who did this. So there should be specific responsibilities, although you need to create room for innovation. Thank you. Any other questions?
No, feedback.
Feedback.
Questions. They are giving you feedback.
Thank you very much. I'm on the human resources strategy On the human resource strategy, I'm saying these days, we should all be ICT savvy. It's very, very important. Resistance will not help us because that's the times which we are living, the fourth industrial revolution. And so the other issue is multitasking. It's also very important. You know, there are sometimes when you just wait and say, the one who should do it will come, but it's delaying your productivity, which you will be appraised upon. So some of the things you can just, these days there are lots of courses, free courses online. Please go there and do something to enhance your skills. Then in terms of the human resources strategy again, we sometimes have a problem of top heavy. You know, when I say top heavy, it means the management there is a lot of people doing duplicated roles and overlapping roles. If it's your own company, or if you are genuine about being in that, you know, there are lots of things which compromise quality, like I said, but let's consider these things. What can we do? Job mismatch is another thing. Corruption and not observing ethics. You take somebody who can do this job, who is not even trained in that job, to take it. So let's consider those and the major tenets of quality assurance: transparency, accountability, efficiency, and effectiveness. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. I think I would also share my view on the question my brother asked about the efficiency. Hello? I'm here. Okay, so in an organization, okay, so there's always an objectives and targets, okay. So there's objectives and targets for the year, maybe for 5 years and all those things. So the HR then decides the rules, okay. So she sets up, let's say, the activities or the role that every department or every staff member is to play to meet that target. Okay, so that's, she has like a JD for each role. Okay, so these JDs will be given to the employees, or will let the HR know which people to employ. So the JD has the skills, it has the specification, like the, what's it called, requirements for, having a bachelor's degree, having a master's degree for that role. Okay, so all these things fit into the objectives and target. So when you're employed, we give you a JD. You go through the JD, and you know you cannot measure anything you can't see. Okay, so once you have the JD, we'll be able to measure you or appraise you on that JD or on that roles or the activities that you were asked to do, because those activities fit into the objectives and targets for the year. So the job description, what you stated is right. It's perfectly right. The employee should know. You can't go to a job and then we tell you that be efficient. How can you be efficient? How? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I want to ask a question, but first an observation. Somewhere along the line, I decided to count the number of okays. I got 19. Okay, 19. Okay. Okay, so maybe you should have a look at it. Yes. I want to ask. In fact, I didn't start early, so I want to ask, which one will you recommend? Group incentive or individual incentive for motivation purpose?
When there is an efficient accountability system in place, then individual incentives I would encourage. But where it is difficult to measure individual contribution, individual performance, and there is a collective performance above target, then collective incentive should be encouraged. So it is based on your ability to measure the performance of each individual within the workspace. So that would be my response.
Yes, but I think every strategy you adapt has its pros and cons. And so it depends. Sometimes when you give it to an individual, it has diverse disadvantages. They may end up backbiting or choking the fellow or even reconditioning the mind. But sometimes when you give it to the group as a whole, they all feel appreciated, and then they come together as a team, and then the output is also super. So you must study your system and then know the one to take.
I would go for the individual one. Yes, because when you do the team one, sometimes people hide under the team to be very inefficient, and then at the end of the day, they take the reward as a team. But where an individual is rewarded based on his role, then everybody ups his game in the team. Because you know that if you do well, you'll be rewarded. In the team, if I also do well, I'll be rewarded. Everybody ups his game.
The key thing is the capacity to measure and the transparency. So if there's capacity to measure, you give specific targets. It could be as simple as how early you report, and you are rewarding the person who comes earliest. For example, it is very, very measurable. I saw a hand here, but there's somebody with the microphone already, so please
I
proceed.
think you just said it all. It is dependent on what you have. Example, if you have given a task which will require them to work in groups, I believe that even before they start, there's been communicated performance indicators to them. And as a group, they are supposed to achieve them. Even at that, they are supposed to be specific deliverables individually. So if the people are not delivering individually, then you don't have to reward as a team, because they won't be able to achieve the end results. However, if the tasks are given individually to the people, and then they are supposed to come together, even though they are working towards a project, individual assignments were given, you can reward individually, because even though it was a group, tasks were given individually. But if it was given as a group, and they were given measurables, indicators, then it would mean that you should reward as a group, because even as it is, it was whatever was achieved as the group. And if anybody had a shortfall, they won't be able to achieve it. So once the achievement has been done, it means that they have been able to work to achieve it. But if it wasn't met, it means that somebody, and as a team, you're supposed to pull each other. And so if someone is not working, there should be means and ways to be able to pull the person. Maybe the job is overwhelming. Maybe that the person doesn't have the right skill set. So you need to look at that. But if you have rewarded or you've given a task as a team, then you will reward as a team. But if it has been assigned individually to achieve a particular result, then no, you have to do individual.
Thank you very much. I'll continue from there and from yours. I think that there should be transparency in every reward system so that there's no mushy-mushy. When there's transparency, there's no controversy. Okay, so I think it's very, very good that we all know what is happening. Why are we being rewarded? What are the standards? What are we working towards? And I believe that we can reward individually and as a group, collectively. You see, so collectively, why? Why do we do that? To promote team spirit, team commitment, teamwork, okay? And to support each other so that the less performer will be pulled up. So you, like my sister said, you just spell out what the criteria is. Individually, everyone would know. For example, best worker. We have best workers. You can't have 3 best workers. So that's an individual motivation, okay? So we need to be transparent. We need to let our staff know what you are being rewarded or motivated for. And it will go down well. That's what
I'll share a very short example. Just before you come in. I worked in the Brong-Ahafo region some time back where Newmont gold mining exists. and they have a reward for going for a period without accidents. And the staff were told that it includes accidents in your home and out of work. Now, I observed a very interesting phenomenon. Friday night, when they are going to club, they come together as a group and they appoint a driver. You will not drink. And it rotates amongst them. So let's say there are five guys. They are going to drink. Today is my turn. I'm not drinking any alcohol. So when we finish, I go and drop everybody at home safely to guarantee our reward. You understand? So this is a collective reward scheme. You can't reward one individual in this one. You understand? So you need to assess the situation to identify the best reward model. Okay, you are coming to make a contribution.
Yes, what I wanted to say is what she has said is very, very key. Do you know that some people get disgruntled because of the way people are picked to be given awards? Even where you say the best worker, the important issue is the criteria. What are you using? And the consistency. Don't say this year, this is the criteria. Next year, you realize you want your friend to be the best. You say we have changed the criteria. Why would you continue to change goalposts? At least you should be consistent with that criteria. Or if it is being reviewed, let it be everybody's input so that nobody will complain that we don't know where it came from. Thank you.
Okay, I would now hand over to...
So we were also to give him feedback for his presentation. All what you are doing is contribution. Yeah, no, it's for the contribution for us to improve when we are also handling this topic. Yeah, it's not just for him. So, yes, sir. Yeah, he's bringing you the mic.
In all this, we should also factor in emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's very key. Yes, let's say you are the HR, you are the manager, you are in control. You have the procedures, you have the policies to enact on. Have in mind the emotions of the employees on the ground in deploying these policies and procedures, so that, as Ms. said, some of them would not feel disgranted. That emotional intelligence is very key when you are dealing with employees. Thank you.
Tell us, sorry, through the chain, what is emotional intelligence? You know, that's the problem. People always talk about this, but issues of emotional
intelligence. There are so many presentations on emotional intelligence.
Yes, but
That's good. Very good.
Excuse me, you cut me when I was so what I wanted for him to do is just to tell people briefly what is emotional intelligence, because it's not everybody who may be conversant, but in a layman's language, some of these things, you say them briefly and then you explain how they can be adopted to improve quality.
Thank you. Thank you. So, if you look at his presentation, I could see that his voice was very good. And he has a mastery of the subject matter. The confidence is there. But he will talk to us about the lighting system, illumination and noise, that there are certain acceptable limits. You didn't tell us the limits. I wish you could have told me for the noise, maybe it's 4 decibels. Then I will be aware. When I go and measure, I will know. No, he gave me a range. But I don't know which one is acceptable. Oh, did you tell us the acceptable? Yeah, there's a machine to read for you. It will read a figure, 40. Is it acceptable or not? So if you have given us the acceptable limits, yeah. And we are all talking about capacity building. Today we are talking about skill mapping. The multitasking you mentioned is now coming under skill mapping. skill mapping. So you look at your people, and then you find out what he's not very good at, then you develop the capacity, so that if tomorrow so and so is not there, he can easily step in. Now we're doing it under skill mapping. Then your slide, the one on work schedule. The work schedule. There's nothing wrong, but there's the bullet. The bullet, you see, the first one is standard work schedule. Then we're talking about a sub point. The bullet should not be the same. It should be slightly different. That is what I realized. Then because you broke, there was a problem. You couldn't be within time. Because he prepared to make 2 presentations. And was trying to jump to the other one. We had to intervene. And so you were not within the time. We can forgive you for that. Now, the question to you is, what do we have at our workplaces? Do we have appraisal systems or performance management systems? Which one do we have? Yeah. Which one? You have performance management system. Auntie, what is the appraiser? You have both. Because we are talking about the rewards, that's why my attention use both. Why both? The final one becomes the appraiser when you are going through performance management. I don't know how often you do the assessment. But today, the emphasis is on performance management system. Oh, appraisal, some of the organizations, they say they do appraisal twice a year. So you wait 6 months. Of all the mistakes I do, 6 months, now are you going back to correct them? It's gone. I have done the mistakes. But if I have a management system there, and it's being monitored on a weekly basis, if I'm going off, you quickly bring me back. So that by the end of the year, we achieve our targets. So that's why we're talking of performance management systems. And it's recorded. Everything is there. So there's no, yeah. I think that is what we have for today, this morning. So we will quickly break for this. I don't know whether it's ready. The snack. Hey. So a brief statement, TV. Yesterday, I think